more kills in favor, plus that objective. And this has just been a gold lane 1v1 for this 5 minutes, which
Hello, welcome everyone. MSC, watch along, guys, watch along.
Great, because again, coming into this matchup, we
Only
were
liquid I
comparing
had
the
yeah.
two gold laners here
Fanny.
with Hiko and of course Kelra. Yeah, I think you need more time to see exactly the hype build up for Hiko. The Hiko mania we talked about back when we got to see him get that Savage over an M6. But right now, it's just him and Kelra holding down the gold lane.
It's going to take some time, especially for these two gold laners we're seeing right now. A lot of the focus, particularly in the past few games that we've seen here in MSC, definitely lies in the mid trio and how well they're able to manage that mid lane. But now King Kong, gets mounted here by Kid Bomba. One shot trying to apply the damage, and even right under the turret, they'll be successful in that pickoff.
And that is just how annoying a glue can be. Even sticking to a Fanny, making
a flying Fanny.
Yeah, a flying Fanny, making you just have a hell of a time. And then you complement that with a Kufra. So they're gonna put the pressure on the purple buff, and this is where it starts to really hurt. If you are playing a Fanny and you fall behind like this, even down to the purple buff not being available for you, it puts you in a really difficult spot.
Yeah, and to be fair, I feel like Sao hasn't been the one to go in first majority of the time. Even when there were moments that it felt like he could go in with a Tyrant's Revenge and find a setup onto at least 2 members of Onyx PH, it felt like the way he's playing this Cooper right now is just to protect the key members of Team Spirit, at least for now, because they still acknowledge the fact that Onyx PH, they can still go in at any moment in time. King Kong can still go in from any angle he wants to. And so all their priority lies now or falls into keeping one shot safe and handing over the snowball, which clearly is working because he's already 1,500 gold ahead of King Kong.
This is one of those situations where Onyx Philippines has to figure an answer out for, dealing with that setting potential that we're seeing from Sao or Kid Bomba's kind of front tankiness that the glue gives you. But also, eventually, how do we get to one shot? How do we get to Hiko later on once he's activated for those fights? That's the biggest question here. Now, again, you can play around the utility that you have a fair miss. You can play around that King Kong should have some decent damage on the Fanny throughout the game. But as we're seeing, even for King Kong, he's having a hard time cabling in and out of these fights,
Counterparts in Onyx PH, and now they're trying to disrupt successfully secures it with their attribution. Perk jumps in, and there goes the Netherrealm at least to keep them a bit more safe. But the Tyrant's Rage catching everyone from Onyx PH. Super Prince handing over a triple to One Shot.
One shot, 3 kills. Gets a triple and makes it work. And that's all, again, putting pressure on the purple buff is all they have to do, because they know that now Onyx Philippines is in this position where it's like, we got to go ahead and get a purple buff to King Kong. Yes, he was able to go ahead and secure it with the retribution, but again, your team is in this position that they're going to be forced to fight because of the way this lineup works for Team Spirit. So now they find themselves with a very healthy lead, and I'm surprised with some of the positioning here, some of the decisions from Onyx Philippines to go and force this, force these situations where they're up front to get information, to do what they can. But I think they know it. They have to just give this Lord up. They have so much ground to cover here.
Now that Onyx PH are playing defensively, a huge responsibility is definitely going to fall into the hands of Super Prince. Right now, he doesn't have access to his ultimate, but he has to make sure that, okay, the Spear of Misery will definitely land there. We'll see. But, yeah, the way that he doesn't have the Purify too is going to be a big problem if he's the one that's targeted first by Team Spirit, especially by Sao here, because he's the one who needs to kinda buy a bit more time for his team. He's the one. He's the only one capable of doing that, because so many things have to be set in place for Onyx PH and their lineup to work, and not even their attempts to manage the macro are working right now, because every time King Kong tries to go out with a Fanny, there's just this immediate response. You see it right now from Team Spirit to not allow them to go any further.
Yeah, this is great. This Lord is eventually going to go down here. Does get a charge up on the top. Saul's charging up himself. I don't think they want to force this fight. They're going to clear out the waves here. They hold on to these base turrets. So even with this kind of lead, Team Spirit doesn't want to overextend into this.
Panic out the King Kong
like through this. King Kong takes some damage. He'll be fine. He's just trying to clear out these waves, but they will lose that holy defense shield now on the bottom side. So Team Spirit has pretty much accomplished what they set out to do on this first Lord push.
The thing is, if the Kufra, if Sao just shows Onyx PH that he's charging, then that's just basically to threaten them, to be very conscious of where they're going to position themselves, because it's not necessarily a surprise attack that they're planning to do. It's just another form of probably zoning Onyx PH out, and at least for them, they've been able to defend all their base turrets. It's still intact, but all their holy shields, they're gone, and we're only approaching the 11-minute mark. No one from Onyx PH is actually safe. There are just so many ways for Team Spirit to gather information, to gather vision, and to just zone them overall. Okay, Mountain Shocker nearly landed onto King Kong, but at least they're able to keep themselves safe.
You're just seeing, I mean, right now, this is such a tough game to get back and turn around if you're Onyx Philippines. And you don't have any other option if you're King Kong to just push those, you know, the cross lanes or, you know, push those side lanes. A spear is going to be thrown, but King Kong's going to be fine. And that's all he can do. He can put pressure. Hopefully they can get a turret. Because, I mean, look at this. They have nothing. Onyx Philippines has no turrets, no objectives,
just
one
now.
kill. That's it. The one lane. So, like, these are the surmountable steps that have to happen here for Onyx Philippines, and the only person that can do that is King Kong. Now we have seen through MSC games 10K ahead turn around.
Wait, they actually go after Kirk? But there's a decent amount of damage from Onyx PH, but the damage is just enough. Even the Nether Realm is immediately taken out. Kelra is the next target. One shot is currently godlike on this Yisun Shin. It's only Super Prince and King Kong who will try to defend and clear the way, but there's a knockup from the Spear of Misery, and they have their eyes on nothing else but the base. There's the SOD, but clearly they've been able to deal with the minions, and now they might actually want to go for more. There goes the Ghost Bursters coming in from Super Prince 2, but now it's a retreat for Team Spirit.
So close to ending the game there for Team Spirit. Nonetheless, they'll go ahead, grab the Lord. King Kong might actually get his purple buff here now. Now, will that be enough? They're facing down a massive gold deficit. This is so far behind for Onyx Philippines that Team Spirit can go ahead and force a fight onto this next push with this Lord. Looking at the items here, they are completely where they need to be. You already saw it in that last fight. If they decide, they almost just have free pickings to decide to who they want to go on. It doesn't matter if it's Brusco or if it's Kirk. These supposedly tanky heroes are not tanky enough to deal with this kind of damage that is coming through from Team Spirit. So they have to play the macro game here. I'm not sure what Onyx Philippines wants to do here. Cut the waves if they can, but eventually you got to get ready for that base defense.
That's going to be the next big step here for Onyx PH. They have a lot of catching up to do, especially considering the 12K gold lead that's currently in the hands of Team Spirit. But Team Spirit are going to take this step by step. A surprise step coming in from Sao, but there's the Flicker and the Nether Realm. Brusco jumps in with the AOG, but barely makes it out alive! King Kong gets bursted down. There's the crossbow attack coming in as well from Kelra, but the damage doesn't seem to be enough. It's a legendary for one shot, and that's game number one for Team Spirit.
And Team Spirit, they had smiles on their faces coming into game one. It was clear why. What a dominant performance for the first game in the series. I'd have to say, you know, Bomba said, he said, I'm feeling 100% confident. Hopefully my team is as well, and it looks like they're all on the same page here.
Yeah, Kid Bomba and one shot literally feel like the make and break right now for Team Spirit, and the way they're able to establish this much dominant of a performance. And mind you, this is against the Super Fam, but they were the ones who seemed to be a lot more in sync, or in a way, it's just inevitable that you force out these reactions from Onyx PH because you kind of already shut down majority of the factors or the conditions that they need to pull off in order for their lineup to work, which is something I feel that the panel has constantly echoed as well. So there's a lot of bouncing back and resetting to do if you're Onyx PH.
100%. I can't wait to see what the panel has to say about this game one. Let's throw it over to them.
Like this Filipino said here in this panel, Team Spirit are just way too good. It was clear what they wanted to do. Invade, disrupt, control. And I actually like what you told us, Trex, that Team Spirit just looked so much cleaner and more in sync compared to Onyx PH.
Yeah, I think we saw it in the early game. Onyx PH looked for a couple EXP lane ganks. They wanted to try to slow Kid Bomba down and continuously kind of mess those up, or Team Spirit just responded better, whichever way you want to put it. Either way, there was definitely some mistakes made by Onyx PH there. Some mistakes that you don't normally see, and Team Spirit's now at a level of gameplay where if you make mistakes, they are going to capitalize.
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting. That's why I say that Team Spirit really have found themselves in these games. Their execution is top-notch. Their mechanics are looking creme de la creme. And I think that right now, a lot of the EECA fans are cheering for them for a very good reason as to, honestly, moments before becoming champions. Because if Onyx PH is struggling against them in the early game, what will it look like coming down the road? And I think the adjustments for Onyx PH, not even in the draft, is we just have to play a little bit better.
Yeah, at this point it becomes a whole point of execution. I do have my own specific pain points about the draft, but if this is, again, the bed that you chose to lie in and you just mess up a lot of the early game executions, that's a big struggle. And if this trend continues in the early game, we might end up seeing Onyx PH getting swept because Team Spirit don't look like they are going to slip up. They know their timer so well. Trexie also told us behind the scenes that one shot has just been fantastic for the first 5-6 minutes of this game.
I mean, for practically the whole game. The guy went, I'm pretty sure, deathless. This is why maybe you don't give the YSS over. Maybe it's one shot. Who knows? Maybe that is one of those picks that needs to stay on the ban list unless you're going to get it for yourself. Again, right there did feel a little outdated in draft. We're willing to give some things for the fanny that may be worth it. So yeah, we'll see exactly how things goes. But taking a look at this, Hiko, 944 gold per minute, also most damage. The young monster in himself.
I don't think it's outdated in terms of how they're drafting. I think there are some very clear ideas from the side of Onyx PH, but it gives them a very narrow win condition, which is what Onyx PH is known to do, right? Because of what we knew them from last year, winning the World Championships, just perfect at execution, even if your chances are extremely slim with a single win call.
And now that becomes the biggest question for Onyx. What is going to be your next main win condition for King Kong? They picked that Fanny. You pick a Fanny because you want it to be a win condition, but then it wasn't allowed to be played. Like, King Kong could not play MLBB in that game #1 with how aggressive Team Spirit were just invading his jungle and freely doing so.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he could barely do that even in the beginning. There was the Kid Bomba just kept catching him. One shot kept catching him. Even towards the end of the game, he would try to get on a Hiko, and Hiko was so clean at sidestepping, spearing him against the wall. You know, it just felt like King Kong couldn't play a game that game from start to finish. It was a dead start.
And this is now where the alarms start blaring if you are a fan of Onyx PH, because it was acknowledged in the group stages and we got to see it. One of the reasons why Team Spirit did really well in that draft, I feel like, was #1, they committed the first phase ban on the Lancelot right away. You take out the next best option for King Kong. But then what's King Kong going to get left with? If he went Hayabusa there, it would have been an almost similar result with the lineup that they ended up with. We've seen in the past, not just here in MSC, but in the Philippines as well, the uncomfortability of Onyx PH playing around Fredrin and tanky junglers for King Kong. So now that has to start ringing some alarm bells for Onyx PH. Draft so that King Kong doesn't end up with a condition that's just going to get wrecked in the early game.
That one's a little tough, right? Because again, it comes at major sacrifice. And I think at the same time, there's good homework into how to kind of mitigate the problem. A lot of why we didn't get to see the Hayabusas come within that first phase was, hey, Moskov was already locked in for us for the side of TS. They had the insurance policy, paid the premiums for it, and now we're just waiting for the damages to come on through before they can claim and cash out.
Yeah, I think we could also say that the game could have fallen into Onyx PH's hands there. It's just the early, there was, like I said, there was a couple early game ganks where they got bonked. where advantage got taken, and when you have something like YSS that's gonna farm up, when you have a composition like Team Spirit, it's all about, because if they did, starts to snowball. Because if Onyx PH snowballed there, the game could have looked very similar, just on the opposite side of the gold. You know, so I think maybe we don't take a rush approach, maybe we take a slower approach, maybe we be a bit more patient. Team Spirit isn't a team that you're going to be able to just snowball against, I feel like.
I think right now for Onyx PH, multiple avenues
for
conditions, right? Have that curve, that bell curve that everyone keeps on raving about. You need an earlier stage of the game to survive. You need a mid stage where things really start to escalate, the peak of which you're fighting against your opponents, and a guaranteed late stage hero that can actually get you over the line. Because the comps that we're seeing, no possible siege composition for the side of Onyx PH, right? You just have to win early to mid, and that's it.
Yeah, it looked like the composition that they drafted and went into relied a lot on just winning skirmishes early on. That's one of the reasons why you picked the Faramis, as we acknowledged earlier. The Faramis comes out because you're showing the other team we're willing to skirmish, and we're confident we'll be able to outplay you. That wasn't the case. So, real quick, before I go into my next big question, just a very quick one. Should the Faramis have been something else? Did it lean a little bit too much onto the idea of wanting to fight? Should they have gone for something with a little bit more crowd control?
No. I think that the way that Onyx played it, they had an idea of, we know that we needed an answer to this glue. We wanted the Farmers to do so. We've already set up Brusco on the Gato to make sure that no matter what pick, even if it was a Valir for all intents and purposes, the laning phase would have been okay.
I think the Faramis was okay, but again, I think King Kong bit a bit more than he could chew on some of those ganks. I think maybe they underestimated Team Spirit a little bit. Maybe they underestimated Kid Bomba. Maybe they underestimated Hiko. Maybe they thought they could run in solo queue against 2 or 3 people and be able to pull things off, but they weren't able to. So again, I think it's more about how they approached the match than exactly how the draft went. Could the draft maybe been a bit better? Yeah, but...
So if that's the case, would you like to see Onyx PH still commit to drafting from the red side to see if, okay, similar to what SRG did game 4 to 5 against RQ. They acknowledged game 4, they messed up early game execution in the first 3 minutes. Game 5, they went for a slightly similar approach in the draft in terms of their priorities, just changed some things up. Do you think that's something Onyx Philippines could go for now heading into this game number 2?
I think, ooh... Okay, so there's 2 risks, right? There's 2 risks. If they go to over the blue side, there's a high possibility that, like, you know, we do see that Team Spirit doubles down on making sure that the high priority assassins from the side of Onyx gets punished, right? Like, we've seen Kirk is going to play weak side a majority of the time. If they want him to get ahead, sure, Brusco, Y hero pull, Super Friends, high hero pull, Kelra can also play weak side, but he needs like a combo. He needs a big setter to make it work. So really, King Kong is the pain point, and I think if they want to double down on getting rid of the Yi Shin, getting rid of the Lancelot, they can still go down that route.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say in draft just yet. It's hard to say exactly what the right answer is, because for me, even though it feels so weird saying this, they just kind of played poor. I feel like that game, they were just a little off in the beginning. Whatever that means, what happened, I don't know what exactly happened in their heads. But TS just played better in the early stage, and that turned into a 10,000 gold lead. So it's too hard for me to, a little too early for me to say, oh, blue side's the answer, oh, red side's the answer, oh, this is the answer. I think right there, they just need to play better.
All right, and as we saw in our fantasy lineups at the beginning of the day, a couple of us some key figures from Team Spirit. Kid Bomba's there, but now we go back to the center of the map. We look at Sawa, we look at Sunset Lover. Will Onyx PH now try to see if they can get a better matchup in the center of the map so that Sawa and Sunset Lover aren't so freely able to do the things that they did in that game before?
I don't think that they were... That's
मै गर्दैछु त्यही भनेको फार्म मात्र गर्छु है किङ कङ जहिले पनि जहिले फार्म गरेर देख्छु म त जहिले जंगल ग्रिप हान्दा देख्छु किङ कङ राम्रो छ तर नक तर जंगल नक भएपछि यिनीहरुलाई सोलो गाह्रो हुन्छ
with Kid Bomba, right? That's where we saw the majority of that lead, and then obviously the YSS because of the amount of time wasted, but even so, it's a strong game from him.
We have a quote here from Kid Bomba. He says, Onyx PH because Onyx feels like the more complete team, referring to Onyx ID. I believe we rather play against Onyx PH now that we're in a single elimination match. We'll see what happens. Oh wait, no. I don't want to say that he was referring to Onyx ID, just as Onyx. So a little bit of a question mark there. So I'm not going to put words in Kid
Well, I think
Bomba's mouth.
Onic is Onic.
Yeah,
Onic
Onic
PH
is
is Onic PH. Isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true. We don't have Onic ID,
We don't
it's just
say-
Onic.
It's just Onic.
Okay, so he could have been talking about the Indonesian
Were they
counterparts.
the first? Yes. Onic ID was the first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had two branches from like a very early stage. Yeah, from an extremely first.
Indonesia, the Indonesian branch was first, yeah.
कहिले त
Oh,
सोला
streamer leaderboard.
Okay, by the way, there is also prizes for the most hours
त्यो
watched.
भन्दा अगाडि
Peak
चलेको थियो।
viewers actually goes to
M6
Zcast
जित्ने
here
बित्तिकै
where
चलिहाल्यो
we're
नि
at.
यिनीहरू।
Because of peak hours watched, Zcast Gaming is currently leading the leaderboard.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like Siteo Wanade and as well as like R7 on top of
खाइला
Skylar.
सोला हानेको त कहिले
Nice
त्यसपछि पो हो
job.
के
Well played.
ओके
Hold on, where's our boy Mirko at?
Snapdragon
He's over in the other room where he's streaming right now. Make sure you guys tune in. Shout out to Mirko.
फाइनलमा हान्दिएको थिएँ
Shout out to Mr. Wolf.
त्यो भन्दा अगाडि M6
as well.
आइसकेको थियो त्यसमा चलिरहेको थियो
Also recovering right now in the hospital. We send you all our praise and our love, sir.
Might be recovering more after this series.
Yeah.
He needs that Onic band-aid.
Just a little porcupine right there on his foot.
Considering that his cat is already named Meow, I think I'd be very curious to see what he would name the porcupine.
All right. So I do want to bring it back for a second. Earlier you mentioned like mid lane control. I think if there's anything in draft that Onic PH can do is don't let that YSS go into the hands of one shot again.
All right.
I think if there's any hero, and there it is going to get banned out by Team Spirit because they know better. I do think this is one of the few picks in my mind that should not get let onto the map unless you are going to get it for yourself.
Team Spirit banned the YSS and the Lancelot, and that I think that's it in terms of like getting some of the best picks possible out in the hands of King Kong.
Baxia. They also have to get rid of the Baxia. They need to open up a couple more mid picks here, and then we'll see what the response is. Because so far, the underperforming heroes that we've seen from King Kong also include the Frederick.
Yeah, Onic PH are actually the ones to ban out the Baksha. Could be setting up for a Uranus rush pick, but then Uranus priority has also went completely down ever since the group stages.
Yeah, I mean, and I think in the last day since yesterday, we didn't even see it picked or banned, did we? It's only these two teams are the one. Only Onic PH has been the one to ban it so far in Knockout. They don't ban it this time. Is that another small tale of like, what's going on? Like, why do they think so differently than every other team right now? We're gonna see now for Team Spirit's last ban. The Bosch is gone. They decide to ban out the Kalea.
See smiles there from the head coach of Team Spirit. Sonic PH are now going into the first. Do they put priorities at the center of the map for Super Friends? Nothing to rush in the EXP. Gold, nothing to rush. Oh, they can rush the 1-1, but then it might end up becoming the same story if you can't build around it well.
The mid lane is a possibility. I think with the 1-1, if they decide to rush it, there are still some utility junglers out there they can put on the front side, the Fredrin, things like that.
Guys, सबैले लाइक हानौँ लाइक भिडियोमा लाइक पनि गर्दै गरौँ।
This last game of Fredrin would have been a bit better. They go for the 1-1 up front. Team Spirit now with the response. Do they just pick up the Phoveus again? And Phoveus mid lane, Phoveus Jushin just back to back. It's comfort for them.
Yeah, Phoveus Jushin or I feel like Phoveus Farsa could be good alternatives as well. But they go for the CC for Kid Bomba. They want that priority for Kid. And of course, CC over Phoveus.
Dude, that's crazy. So they lock into CC. I like the fact that Kid Bomba has that paper in front of his mouth just to try and just so that they don't read, the opponents don't read what he is saying.
Maybe it's loud in there. Maybe it's loud in there. You know?
They're wearing headsets. To be fair, Kid Bomba's on the side of the table that's closest to the side of Onic, because right with how it's set up, see, it's very close to where Kirk is.
Right? It's so wild. It's so wild. But they, wow. Okay. No, wait. Huh?
With the phone?
Why? Why?
Romarlot?
Why?
But
do you
yeah, show both. This is
Romarlot
hates
haन्छ
this
त्यसले।
for the viewers that don't know. His skin's crawling right now.
Mainly because the question is why. It's not like it's a strong synergy. It also reveals immediately what you're. I mean, it reveals exactly what you want to do. Unless we are seeing CC go into the gold lane, which I don't think is likely at all in this particular case. So I don't value it as much.
And there's also a low percentage that Arlot's going to get banned in second phase. Like, you could honestly pick that up at any point after you've gotten the CC. Or you could just pick it up front. But hey, Team Spirit's up a game right now, so let's see what they do. Fredrin, Selena on the side on the PH. So there's the Fredrin that I was talking about to put in front of the 1-1. I think it's clean overall. Team Spirit on their last pick.
There we go.
Locked. Okay.
Yep.
So there's three tanky boys.
Yeah, so
Right
I
up front.
really like, okay, the Arlot, I feel like that's them trying to avoid that Arlott Fredrin combo. Something that has done incredibly well in MSC. Yes, I'm a bit 50-50 on it, but let's look at where Onyx PH draft is. So they pick up the Fredrin still, okay. They pick up the Selena. Still going up against the Akai, Arlott, CC. This Selena might have been a little bit, how do I say this, premature in being showed. I feel like a different mid laner could have come in.
I suppose this is just so weird to me, right? Okay, so yes, I agree that the Arlen as well as the Kai is a good response to the Fredrin.
Yep.
The blind pick Selena, the blind pick Arla as well. I feel like these teams are thinking a little too far ahead when I don't think it's necessary, right? Yes, you have some nice synergies to actually work with, and I think that TS is reading into this a little bit by getting rid of the Paquito, because they want to make sure that this CC is going to basically go untouched and has that winning lane almost no matter what we see from the side of Onyx PH. And I think the only other option is just to play either A, Sandbag Heroes, or Benedetta, just to not interact with their opponent, because there's a severe lack of damage from the side of Onyx PH for now.
Badang is the ban for Team Spirit. They take away another Brusco pick. They take away Paquito, also thinking, I think this also reinforces the both of them are just a bit thinking too far ahead, as they are considering the possibility of that ending up in the hands of Kirk. Now the Kimi is the last man there for Onyx.
Okay, so I don't think they go for like a Farza on the mid on Team Spirit. There's way too many answers to it.
Danger hero
Some sort of mid lane though. Moscow does get picked up. Back over to Onyx PH. Still needing a roam and EXP. Do they go for the glue this time? With Badongon, Gatot also still open. Could be a possibility for them, I think.
I think the glue might lose in terms of map presence against the CC.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but I feel like as Team Spirit shows their draft one hand out to say, hey, we could be punished, they already have the answer in the other hand. So it really is dependent on Onyx to kind of decide to pick their poison onto where they want to have the weak side to be. And I don't think it's going to be from Calrus. I think he's going to be totally fine. The real question is, are we going to get, once again, a disengage mechanic from Onyx? Yep.
Edith Rome, Lapu EXP, Valentina in the mid.
What a draft, and that Valentina pick, that was so expected already by the side of Team Spirit with how fast they picked it. They knew that Valentina was going to be, that Edith was going to be coming out, and they're leaning into it. Getting a lot of head scratch moments for me, even from Trex.
Yeah, both drafts are interesting, I'll say that. I think Onyx PH kind of lacking in damage overall. Yes, the Selena, but I don't know. It just seems both drafts seem unnecessarily hard.
I agree, and I think that this time around, whoever their scrim partners are, it's kind of whack. I got to give it to TS. I think their comp is significantly better.
All right, let's see what Brigida and Nice think about the drafts heading into game number 2.
Thank you so much to the panel. Once again, welcome to the desk. Here it's me, Naisu, and Brigida. Yeah, we were scratching our heads too. You know, this is a very interesting draft, to say the least, but this is what we wanted. We wanted to see some of these variations going into this, and we have so far today. Now, mix it up a little bit more. It was very honest from TS early on in the draft. They had some things picked up. The Valentina, we don't even see that much. But over on the other side, we have seen Onyx Philippines Brigida play a similar lineup, you know, even in our own region there. But we do know, hey, Super Prince loves this Selena. Maybe they can make this work, but this is not what you see often. A Selena and the Edith paired up together in the mid.
In the current meta, at least. But Kelra in the bottom lane, very, very close to finding a kill towards Hiko. But going back to what you mentioned, I agree. This isn't the first time we've seen Onyx PH decide to go for a lineup that may be a bit mechanically demanding. Okay, so to answer our question, it does not matter, apparently, for Onyx PH. Because even way back, you mentioned it, they've been going for the Selena go-ahead combinations.
This is the real Onyx Philippines guys.
They're making it work.
Whoa!
This is
the real
I know some people saw the draft and were like, yeah, that might lack a little damage. Well, when you're landing the skill shots, when you're throwing people into the air, and you're winning a 1v1, it doesn't matter. Now, this early on, you got a nice lead there for both, but again, a lot of people that have been watching Onyx Philippines for some time know that Super Prince, like, look at this. He is going to be hitting these arrows. There is a
Oh, you
reason
recall
why
Yeah.
would just ban out the Selena eventually against Onyx Philippines. Now, this might be one of the games where we see that happen.
It's just so hard to move around if you're Team Spirit. Again, there's only one person with a purify, and
It's like
that's
100%
Hiko.
right now.
So far, all of the Abyssal Arrows, they're likely to land. And it's almost guaranteed that you can just follow up with your other crowd control skills if you're already able to land the Abyssal Arrow, especially from a distance, because that guarantees a much longer stun duration. And so far, we've been seeing Onyx PH take full control of the early stages of the game just by the amount of pressure that Super Prince is able to do. And there you go again, another Abyssal Arrow, nearly causing Hiko to be taken out.
Hiko's dealt with a lot of pressure here, and I know Kelra got the advantage earlier on. We'll take a look here. Who gets the crab? Okay.
Oh, finds the stacks. Oh my goodness.
I'm surprised Hiko put himself in that position. That he,
500
he knows
रुपैयाँ
he has level 4,
एक हप्ताको
he knows he can
मेहनत
get the
गयो
crossbow off, and now they're in
टाइसनको।
trouble mid.
Now he's 2 levels behind, and now one shot will be the next to fall. Sawo and Sunset Lover will have to do their best to keep themselves alive up against 3 members of Onyx PH. There's the stun coming in towards Brusco, and they find the kill. Keith Bomba doesn't make it as well, but at least Team Spirit somehow finds some answers.
Sunset Lover is like, you can do it, Brusco, so can I. Turned in to the Edith himself with the IMU.
like पनि गर्दै गर्नु, like subscribe पनि गर्दै गर्नु, new viewer हुन्छ भने।
Just picking the right ultimate. Now, for the most part, that's most likely going to be Brusco on the Edith.
Yep.
He should be able to utilize that, but I think the most difficult part here for Team Spirit really is just kind of playing the dodge game. Like, you have to dodge a lot of these shots that are coming out from Onyx Philippines. You have to be very aware even when the flickers are available, because not only can Brusco make those plays
Like, subscribe, guys,
later on, but also for Kirk. We've seen this time
Onyx PH ले चाहिँ चाहिँ sure मस्को 20 मिनेट पुस होला अब मेन फोकस होला।
And interestingly enough too, there's Brusco.
Flicker set up, but the Flicker final slash as well to answer right back. Super Prince will be
तर
first
टिम फाइटमा चाहिँ गाह्रो हुन्छ क्या Onyx PH लाई।
with a heavy spin. It seems like they're trying to pin down and force Brusco away from
यस्तो छ फेडिनको बारे, किङ कङको बारे यस्तो छ फेडिनमा।
actually pick up a kill towards
जस्तो जङ्गलले नै हानिदिन्छ हो यस्तो दामी टिम पारे अन्त।
and they are down once again. Brusco
मैले नै हानिदिन्छु हो फेडिनबाट।
to run away.
यस्तो दामी खेल्ने 4 जना पर्यो भने त।
King Kong finds a double.
King Kong and Kirk, a little different on the KK connection, making it work this time. I mean, a great juggle for both of them. We're going to take a look at the instant replay here while the gold laners duke it out, but this is what I was going to say. Brusco rolling on this Edith starts this fight out. You know, I wasn't sure if Hiko was going to follow that Spear Destruction, but this was a great kind of communication from Onyx Philippines where we see them go back and forth for this, clear things up, and even win this fight into winning the objective. Great choice here for them to go ahead and secure this and lock that in.
I know we might have just pointed out the entire conversation about damage and the lack of, well, not in the panel earlier, but it seems like the sustain actually worked wonders for Onyx PH during that team fight, because they were
It's all like
able
subscribe,
to
comment,
stay
buddy.
in the fight long enough, especially King Kong and Kirk, and now they go for another
Definitely,
target.
and definitely.
None other than Sawo, who won't be even
Salinaले
able
difference पारे क्या
to
last day।
use the vengeance to reposition, granted the amount of chain CC. So they pay a bit more attention to the gold lane, which I feel has been very much
Master
favored
Zena King Kong
Kelra
त्यो
so
चाहिँ
far.
स्विलिङ मात्र
Hiko
हो र त्यही भनेको।
sitting on a 0-2, there have been a couple of questionable decisions in terms of his micro.
This is what I'm saying. I don't know what the difference is right now. I'm sure we'll see that in just a second here, but Kelra's 2 levels above Hiko. He's been winning the lane since it started. You know, we saw that when we got into the game, that he was the one that got Hiko really low, and then he's just kind of continued to punish. And even if his Super Friends just shows up, or anyone really, Brusco as well, they put enough pressure on Hiko that he's kind of just forced off of the turret. And that's why we see that tier 1 down. So Team Spirit might want to just kind of decide, like, do we need to just let Hiko stay to himself and go ahead and farm up?
आखै
And
जङ्गल
how do we
लियो
play
कि
that?
नलिन
You know,
बनाएको जङ्गल त्यहाँ।
how do we let that go?
Yeah.
Big shout out to the crowd there. They're super happy about this right now for the game 2, especially how one-sided game 1 was. You know, Team Spirit had that very decisive game 1, but it seems like Onyx really in control of this one.
Base Physical and go to that.
Yeah, he had to use the Purify there, but another final slash and the SOD. Hiko might decide to join this time around, but the moment he does, he gets taken out right there. Kirk and King Kong will be traded, however. There's another little arrow landing onto Kid Bomba, but Super Prince! That was a risky flicker in that he decided to go for. Sawo immediately falls. A 3-for-3 trade so far, Naisu.
Super Prince wanted to say calculated, but that was a little miscalculated. He thought he could get it. Unfortunate for them, not. But they will go ahead and get another objective, maybe true, once that turtle's locked in here. Again, look at this difference for the gold laners.
Oh, that's a massive lead in the hands of Kelra. Not even the heavy spin could pin him down. And he will just continue to be a threat to Team Spirit. This is going to be one of the most difficult parts of the game. If you just let the 1-1 snowball this much, you have a much harder time trying to lock down this hero, or better yet, even bursting it down, because you don't have enough damage to deal with this hero just yet. And that's only one out of the many problems you have to think about going up against Onyx PH in a team fight.
Yeah, because Brigitte, you have to think about it this way, and I know our panel mentioned it. The damage for Onyx Philippines' lineup would traditionally need to take some time to build up, aside from, of course, Super Prince here. But they bought enough time because Kelra has scaled up so quickly in this game. Oh, but this could be a fight here.
The curtain call was used on King Kong and as well as Kirk. But the mid lane who get punished heavily by that engage. Kelra taking down 2, and they just need one last hit to take down this tier 1 in mid.
So I was saying, the scaling here for Kelra happened so quickly, and part of that wasn't even the team. Again, he did this in the lane from the start against Hiko, and Hiko is continuously playing catch-up. Now sitting at level 9 to Kelra's 12, he's multiple thousands gold behind, and this is what Super Prince does best on the Selena. He will just continue throwing out arrows, landing them, and being a threat.
Oh! Doesn't get to dodge the Appraiser's wrath. Spin just to get away. Hiko will be trading things out for now, but there's Kirk that's up top to manage things for his team. Final Stash will be committed onto him as well. We're taking a look at the top lane. Landshaker doesn't land onto Hiko, and they're trying to run away, but Super Prince, will he be able to successfully block their path? Doesn't land. But even just Kelra standing right there,
He's threat enough.
It's already enough.
He's threat enough. They don't want to go toe-to-toe with that right now. They're going to lose a whole lot here. So this is now, again, a massive swing in favor of Onyx Philippines. Kelra just picks up the Berserker's Fury. They're in great position to just take this Lord. I don't want to see Team Spirit contest this. I know they're around the mid. They still have Hiko up top, but it's way too late. He does throw the spear. Super Prince tanks it to the face.
Wait.
Hiko followed through with that, so they might have tried to make a play, but it's better that they don't. So Lord is secured here now for Onyx Philippines.
Yeah.
We have to see if Team Spirit down this much gold, 7,000 gold, if they have enough in the tank to hold the line, basically, with this push in.
Yeah, I feel like they wanted to do something away from the Lord, so there were potentially less members from Onyx PH and less things to risk, and at least they get something out of that downtime wherein they were unable to find at least any trade away from Onyx PH. Now that they've handed over the Lord, I agree. Defending might be a huge struggle for them, considering that it's a 4K lead in the hands of Kelra, in contrast to Hiko. But that's a retribution already committed by King Kong. Slows down Sawo by just a bit, but at least the arrow does not land. So that's what they'll have to deal with for now. Defending and holding on to the remaining base turrets.
Trying to hold on to these holy shields, but they are going to go down up top. Lord has made its way to the bottom. An arrow's going to be thrown.
Oh no, it's Hiko. He still has the Purify though. He will not use it just yet, but the Conceal, it sounded like Onyx wanted to do something, but they're going to respect that Team Spirit. They're all complete, they're all full HP, but this might be the opportunity that they're looking for. Holy Shield's already popped, however, but they're still really trying to threaten them. Oh,
got a heavy spin out.
That was a massive ultimate already expended for Team Spirit, and Kelra finds the crossbow. Dan connects onto one shot as well. Kid Bomba, both of them, they're very low, and they're doing their very best just to defend their base turrets. Terrified for Kirk, but that's all for now.
They lose 2 turrets, So Team Spirit still in the game, but just like we saw in game 1, they're the ones facing down a 10,000 gold lead for Onyx Philippines. And it's a massive lead, even on the damage scale here. You see how much Keller has done. They might look to just end the game if they can get a favorable setup, even before this next Lord. They still have a minute to go ahead and buy some time, but TS, it just looks like they're in this position where they're not sure how this is going to go. You know, King Kong confident enough.
Oh, there's no curtain call anymore, but the heavy spin will actually be able to catch him. Tries to dash away, but it won't be enough. That's going to be a kill over to Team Spirit. And they're going to be very happy with that. They just want those small wins for now.
I'm not sure the play there. I'm not sure if they were, you know, just trying to make it a forced situation, but it was clearly not part of the plan there. But it is just a kill that goes in the hands of Team Spirit. They do get some extra gold in the right hands here. But that's the thing. Onyx Philippines is so far ahead, especially in terms of map presence, map space to work with. And with a Selena, it's even more. And that's why these traps and these arrows are paying, you know, a huge value to Onyx Philippines. But it looks like TS wants to go with a play. They're going to use a conceal, but I don't think they catch anyone out.
Yeah, and I feel like it was just in time. The stacks for Keller were still there to get some information either way. Kirk goes in with the bravest fighter. There's the flicker attempt as well, but they don't get to set up for anyone. So Team Spirit are able to walk away safely. But now there is the Lord.
Okay, Lord is up. They're going to go ahead and fight for this one. It looks like TS still wants to go.
Yep, there's the stun, and they definitely will be closing in, but one shot! He doesn't get to dodge the crossbow of Tam! And now Onyx PH, they're looking for more. They're going to be chasing after the other members of the Spirit.
The arrow.
The onward, the earth shatter, everything just lands on Sunset Lover.
Unfortunate for Team Spirit. I'm surprised they got a position for that Lord take, but with one shot being caught out and then just collapsed on, they had no other choice, no other space to work around. Enough for Onyx Philippines. They might already have this one in the bag, and the Lord is making its way up top. They have the base turret in the mid to work on, but I don't even know if they're going to wait for it. Right now, they still come up. Sunset Lover less than 10 seconds away. Team Spirit should be in a full fighting force to defend this, but they have to play dance here. They have to dodge these arrows and get ready for this Lord. The traps are all set up. Super Prince,
that didn't land. That attempt from Sao didn't land, and now the heavy spin is going to be burned as well. They're only going to try to go after King Kong, but he is too tanky, and they still have to deal with the Lord. And now they will successfully try and attempt to deal with it, but Sao trying to distract the other members won't be enough because Super Prince will just gain access to the members in the back line. It's a 2-for-1 trade so far, however, but there's still a wave coming in the mid lane. King Bomba will be trying his best, but he gets to receive the onward and the earth shatter. Final flash committed on to Brusco, and they pop the immortality for now.
do they have enough damage? They still have the waves pushing in, and Kim Bomba tries to do it, but the crossbow tag from Kelra's enough to clean it up. Will be one more for Sao, but a game going to the hands of Onyx Philippines.
Team Spirit held on, and they took that risk. They went for the final slash heavy spin combo. Supposedly that would have landed on a single or two members of Onyx PH, but the reflexes were too fast.
Yeah.
Onyx PH reacted to it just in time, so that resulted in multiple wasted important resources for Team Spirit before the final defense.
And that was everything that Onyx Philippines had to do. They had to get those, you know, spells out, the ultimates out, because it was good juggling, honestly, from TS to be that far behind. But, you know, sweep things forward, stay in the game as long as they did, even despite that big gold deficit. But again, Onyx Philippines came into game 2. They had some power picks in their hands. Especially with the Selena, was amazing here. But nonetheless, they brought this game plan to life and made it work in game 2. So let's throw it over back to the panel to break down our game 2.
Onyx Philippines reminding Team Spirit and the rest of the world who they are. Super Friends on his signature Selena. He plays that like a mobile master.
He does, but I feel like after watching Game 1 and Game 2, all the MLBB enthusiasts, after watching the previous series, look at this one and they're like, what am I supposed to learn from this? What is happening?
I will say this, Onyx 2 games, first game, they try to bring the aggression in the early game, they fail. Second game, they bring the aggression in the early game, and it passes. So yes, I still don't think exactly it's the draft that we're looking at, but the gameplay itself. And is this going to be the story for the next possibly 3 games? Can Team Spirit withstand the first 2 to 4 minutes?
Yeah, again, game number 1, it was Team Spirit dominating that. Game number 2 is Onyx Philippines winning all over the map. Hiko losing, straight up losing to Kelra in lane. 2 kills early on. That 1-1 bullied that Moskov.
What's even crazier about that, it's the same exact matchup as last game. Moskov versus 1-1. So my question is, did Hiko maybe get a little too confident after game 1? Try to push the limits? Forget who Kelra was?
I mean, the second death I think was the most evident, the level 4 into level 3. What are you doing there? Brother, man, he has a pure inbuild, Purify. You hit him against the wall. Why do you continue the trade? There's just so many weird things that happened in this game, but what was clear was Onyx PH's early game, the laning phase especially, basically allowed them to do whatever they want, right? They were in the exact same position that TS was in game number 1. Pulling it into game number 2, Onyx PH draw the line in the sand.
MLS त्यो एकचोटी एक गेम जिते कि हिरो बन्न मलाई हाल्छ.
We're going to go toe to toe. If you want a mechanic, we'll out mechanic you just as much.
Yeah, I appreciate this Edith pick that was part of the last set of picks here for Onyx Philippines for Brusco. And most importantly, how Brusco executed this Edith. He was checking the rotations of Kid Bomba, Sawo, and Sunset Lover incredibly well. There was a bit of a mishap at the center of the map around mid-game, but at that point, Onyx Philippines just had a massive lead that even though they lost, because Kelra was winning lane so hard, they could afford those little mishaps. They could afford those little slip-ups.
Yeah, Kelra getting so close to breaking that 1,000 gold per minute mark, but just showing that maybe 1-1 should stay in the ban phase. Even though you beat it in game number 1, it's still a problem. And outside from that, you mentioned King Kong, because I feel like the Fredrin was actually a really solid pick from you. Like the Edith, I really liked the Fredrin. I feel like it forced King Kong to stay with the team a bit more, whereas game number 1 he was getting caught off by himself too much, and he allowed the rest of his team to shine with the damage as long as he was able to peel and protect them.
Yeah, I feel like this was a little redemption game also from King Kong, who for the longest time now since last season, the community beats have been, oh, King Kong is not that great in the tanky fighter junglers. This game, I feel like they needed this confidence game for him. He needed a performance like this on this Fredrin to show Team Spirit, to show himself like, hey, I can do this too.
Don't get me wrong, I want to agree with you, but it's really hard. There are a lot of contributing factors to why he was already able to develop a 2-level lead against one-shot in this case, and a lot of it is because, Selena was able to get pretty much a quote-unquote free lane after getting that initial solo kill onto Sawo, but also supplementing the fact that now has Selena with the traps to make him feel like an assassin jungler, like he's clearing obnoxiously fast because of it.
It looks like we got a series
here. राम्रो हेर्नु सरको म्याचहरु फिलीले जित्यो फिलीले स्योर जित्छ बाइ बाइ थ्यांक यू फर सपोर्टिङ गाइज यति सानो स्क्रिनमा हैन यस्तै